like New York and traffic. I make the features and do all the casting. Who gon' direct me with all these theatrics? But of course, go ahead and roll one, ain't gotta pass it. I play the role, but this ain't no acting. This show is over, but we can't be canceled. But of course, ain't that the way it's supposed to be? Supposed to be. It's supposed to be. Here with me. Here with me. Cause you're here with me. Give me more than sex, yeah, I need to connect. Don't wanna wake up in the morning feeling sad and regretful. Don't wanna press, but when it's us, want you to make me feel special. But of course, give me more than sex, yeah, I need to connect. Don't wanna wake up in the morning feeling sad and regretful. Don't wanna press, but when it's us, want you to make me feel special. But of course, ain't that the way it's supposed to be? Supposed to be, it's supposed to be. Here with me, here with me, cause you're here with me.
Well, good morning on this 27th day of February, 4 minutes past the hour. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, in the building from 100 BLK, the Black Station, along with Sister Jax, life strategist, art therapist, celebrity speaker, and all that good stuff she does out there in Brick City. and all, not only Brick City, but all over the United States of America. My brother from another mother, cold chilling in New York, big city of dreams. But everything in New York ain't always what it seems. I'm telling you, for team in the building. First, Jax, how you doing this morning?
Doing wonderful. It's a little cloudy, a little drizzly, but it's another day that we woke up, so I got to celebrate it.
That's what I'm talking about, brother Fatim. What's happening, brother?
That's the problem. See, Jack's over in Newark, New Jersey, throwing them clouds over here, trying to bring that drizzle and all that kind of stuff. It was. We trying to get the sun over here, but no, Newark got that cloud over them and sending them to New York. But
that's right.
No, it's a good morning. Like Joe said when we spoke a little earlier, that we woke up this morning and real quick, you know, this is not my normal background. I'm at the New York Blood Center Enterprises. I will be hosting a meeting of a sickle cell event today. A young lady who has written a children's book. It's our first children's book on sickle cell anemia, and the New York Blood Center deals with blood products that they ship out to different hospitals, because you got to realize that folks, especially those with sickle cell disease, they get numerous transfusions. And what happens every time you get a transfusion, you build up antibodies. So when you, just give you a little technical, you know, Shauna's not with us, when you get a transfusion, you have to be what is called type and match or type and cross. And they have to make sure that they get those antibodies out, or it will cause you problems. So the New York Blood Center, they deal with that, and they deal with a lot of sickle cell patients. So I'm here. The young lady name is Stacy Santilli, and her book is Guess Who? Mama Pooh, and it's about, like I said, a children's book for sickle cell anemia.
That's what I'm talking about. Because if you don't get it right, your body will attack your body, and white blood cells will turn on you. So sickle cell is big, and we have been doing a lot of stuff even down south. There's a lot of push because sickle cell affects a lot of people of brown and black color, you know, people of color, you know. So yeah, we need to definitely be on that. I'm so glad that you're there doing that, brother Fatim. Our good sister Shauna, she may call in. She's getting ready to do big things. She's meeting with the Bessie board. We have a board here that regulates education, and she's meeting with one of our representatives, Mr. Preston Castile, Southernite, graduate of Southern University, who's on the board, to talk about her curriculum getting into the schools here in Louisiana. I told you, we ain't playing. We ain't playing. I talked to some friends of mine in Tennessee in the legislature who wants to speak to them about that. Like, you sit around and sleep on us if you want to. We will keep it moving and come back and charge you triple and quadruple. That's all I got to say about that. So today we're going to go through a smorgasbord of things on this Tell the Truth Tuesday. Oh, we're going to tell the truth today. The truth will be told. I promise you. The truth will be told. Since I rang the bell, let me ring it for everybody who's celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, or today is your special day. That bell was for you, because today is your birthday, your anniversary, your special day. Whatever the special day is, we celebrate it with you. Phone lines, we're going to open them wide open. Yeah, phone lines going to be wide open, 225-250-8770, 225-250-8770. 8770, and be exact. Let me put it up there so you can see it. So you'll say, "Oh, what's the phone line? What's that phone line again? You didn't tell me."
Yeah,
there it is, right there.
There you go.
You know, I got to do it. I got to do my girl, Miss Cleo. Call me now. So today, first thing we're going to talk about is how these youngsters be wilding, straight wilding. Now, I don't have all the information. One of my sources reached out to me and gave me some of the information, but I have not confirmed this information. But everybody's been seeing the viral video of Cam Newton throwing hands at his football camp. So we're going to talk about, you know, come on, family. This ain't the first time this has happened. My source told me that this is not the first time that people have been very disrespectful at these football camps, especially with Cam. The Black Conservative Foundation, the BCF. Oh, we're going to talk about the BCF a little bit today. So tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this with a friend. Click like and share. We are broadcasting live on Facebook. We are broadcasting live on YouTube. And we are on Instagram. We are on the gram today, baby. We are on that gram. So tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this with a friend. We are in the building. Hashtag truth be told. So let me jump over to my spiritual conscience for a minute. because I just need to jump over there just for a second. Jax,
What you need, my brother?
babe, what's been going on? Tell me what's been going on in your world, because I know you deal with the kids. And before I get into how these kids be wilding with this Cam Newton thing, tell me about some things going on with the kids that you deal with.
Man, listen, the kids that I deal with, it's rough. It's rough. But a lot of them, it's a lot of stuff kind of going on at home that kind of led some of them down the path of crime, unfortunately. But, it boils down to decision making. Because we all know for the most part what's right and what's wrong. But sometimes I notice that the children, they don't really realize the repercussions of their actions. So I gave them an example. I said, one day I was, leaving from doing art therapy, and right at the bottom of the hill, my son and I got caught in the crossfire. A guy shot somebody right in front of us as I was turning off to go get my daughter from school. And you just never know. And I said to my students, I said, what if a bullet went through my car, right? And I got killed. So you come back to class the next day expecting Miss J to teach you, and you find out, guys, Miss J, was senselessly murdered, right? By a stray bullet. So many times they're blown away when you kind of give them examples of that, or you give them examples of, guess what? You steal somebody's car. What if my car was full of donations to give to you guys, but somebody else stole my car, and now I can't give you what you need, because somebody else was being selfish and stole my car to cash out to make a couple bucks, right? So they don't really realize the steps to it and the repercussions. They just think about themselves, the here and now. They do what they want to do, and they make it happen. Unfortunately, it's at somebody else's demise. For the most part.
At the they do not measure the consequences. The consequences of, I was with somebody, we stole a car. The person's car that we stole, at the time we jacked the car and threw them out the car, they caught a heart attack and died. Exactly. And now, not only are we being charged with jacking the car, we're being charged with murder, because they're saying if you hadn't grabbed that person and threw them out the car, that heart attack wouldn't have happened. And now what you think is just a simple carjacking situation has turned into a murder scene. And we got to think about the consequences. And I don't know, Jax and Fatim, I don't know how we resolve this gun violence, these criminal issues that happen in this country, because sadly every time you turn on the TV, justice seems to be just us, and that's just the truth about it. Let's just be real. Most of the times, if you go visit right now any of your local penal facilities, your penitentiaries, or your jail, even though they say we are the minority, when you go inside those systems, we seem to be the majority. There are black and brown folks all in there.
That's right.
So go ahead, Jax.
We can shift blame a lot, because that's quite often what happens. A lot of people try to shift blame, but ultimately whoever is responsible for raising you is still responsible for some of your actions, right? Many times these parents are not doing their job, but then they want to blame it on everybody else, that, oh, well, this happened and that happened. And I understand parents have to work, but guess what? You still have a whole bunch of other children. I know back in my day, we were latchkey kids. We would, come and go. Parents are at work. Maybe I had a single household. Mom was at work. I had to let myself in. I had to make my cereal, make my food. My brother would come in from time to time. But when he would come in with his boys most of the time. They would kick me out of one room so they could get high in the other room. And then I would have to do my homework in one room. And next thing you know, they decide they want to go in the living room and chill after they're high. So then I got to pack my stuff, go back to the kitchen. But, so it was crazy. Try to get some cereal. Ain't no spoons left in the house, right? Because he done burnt up all the spoons. So that's just how it goes. But we still have to take accountability. No matter what situation you grew up in, you have to decide, am I going to rise and become something out of this? Or am I just going to use it as an excuse? And what was me? This is the reason why I am how I am. You have to decide what side of the park you want to play on.
Amen. So, Brother Fatim, Cam Newton.
Hold on before that. No, but hold on before we go to Cam, brother. I got to get to the time, brother. And I have to tell you, I got the details. So you throwing a little shade at the young folks. Wait till I tell you who's the problem with the Cam Newton thing.
Come on.
Let me first of all, let me just say this, because I didn't get Jax to address my sister. I was gonna call her my Nubian queen over there, but I can't do that due to the fact that she is married. So that's the title that is reserved for her husband to call her.
That right.
Queen. But I call her our Nubian princess. You
Oh,
understand?
No,
That's
she's
always
our conscious.
represents.
She's our conscious queen. She's the queen of conscious here.
Exactly. So let me get part of this, and again, commending you, Sister Jax, about the work that you do again in Brick City in New Jersey, and as well as you just mentioned, it's hard in working with these folks. So I'm gonna step it up a little bit differently. So in New York City, back in where were we at 20. It's in the first term. It's the first term of New York City Mayor Eric Adams. He appointed a brother as a gun czar, and the brother name is A.T. Mitchell.
A gun
Brother,
czar.
he used to head up an organization, still has the organization called Man Up Incorporated. They were out there in the East New York, Brownsville section of Brooklyn, but they dealt with New York City, and they will go beyond New York City to deal with issues of crime. But when New York City Mayor Eric Adams, this is a paid position. This is not about a voluntary position. It's a paid position. I think it's $165,000 a year position that Brother A.T. Mitchell, but he deserves this because he's always been in the community, been in the streets, taking guns, walked up on gangs. This is the kind of brother this is. And I wanted to spotlight him and spotlight all those kind of individuals. We call them violence interrupters.
Mm-hmm.
Erica Ford, that head up Life Camp, who she just stepped down from Life Camp to go into something else. This sister's been active. She was part of the December 12th movement back in the day. That's another organization here in New York City to make a difference in the city. And what A.T. Mitchell did and connected me with other folks around the country that are doing this work. For instance, he hooked me up with a brother in Chicago that's doing the same kind of work when we focus on this drill rap. Drill rap, if anybody knows, a lot of you are older that don't understand that drill rap is, I hate to say it, but it's negative. And it's negative. And it's like the rap is talking about different people. People pull up on each other and they're shooting everybody. And we can't have that. So these brothers and sisters are going out there trying to make a difference. So I just wanted to spotlight that. Then Dr. Shango Blake. This is a brother I met doing the Million Man March. His father was the Queens coordinator of the Million Man March. And Brother Shango Blake at the time was in college. Well, he became a principal and he turned a school around in Queens that focused on the community and the Black community. They did such a great job with the students. Oprah Winfrey had him on her show, Dr. Shango Blake. And of course, anytime you stand up and you buck the system and you make strides, they come after you. They came after the brother, got him fired. But that didn't stop that brother. So he created an organization called Black Educators United, BU United, Black Educators United. And they have worked with Governor Hochul, New York Governor Hochul, to get Black history in all the schools, all the New York City public schools. Well, this week, they're having a press conference at the Burial Ground here in New York City to announce the second phase of Black history going into the public school systems, K through 12. So next year, when the start of the school system, Black history will be in all New York City public school systems, K through 12. So you're talking about making a difference. When you start teaching this education to our young folk, maybe they will start to see who they are, where they come from, but you got to still earn that because you come from a great people, you still have to walk in that greatness to be considered great. And once that, hopefully we can start to deter some of this crime and some of this bad behavior that some of our young folks are doing to one another. So I just wanted to bring that up today.
Hey, that is wonderful, Brother Fatim. I had to ring the bell and the crowd had to give a loud applause on that one. So before we go into Cam, let me give a shout out to my boy, because we've been rocking real strong and I do a lot of stuff. So for those of you who, and we just finished doing a gaming nonstop for suicide prevention with soldiers and with people who have came back from military service. So I do a lot of video gaming. Some of you may or may not know I do some video game voiceovers. I've did some voiceovers in some of the big video games that are out there. So me and Charleston White, Charleston White, we've been gaming together lately, and man, we've been getting it in. It's the old man gaming, the OMG. So I've been on there with Charleston. I like to give him a lot of big ups because and some folks may like or not like Charleston. Charleston a good gamer, man. He a real good gamer. We've been on there having a lot of fun gaming. So of course, a lot of you remember when Charleston was on with Cam Newton. So that's why I need to get Fatim in with the facts, because a friend of mine said, man, did you see the video? So I'm going to show the video a little bit later. But before we even show the video, Fatim, jump on here and give me the facts that you have ascertained about this situation with Cam Newton. That's what I need to know. I need to know what you have ascertained with Cam.
What's the T?
So your mic's still muted, brother.
I muted my mic myself. I apologize. So what happens is when we spoke before the show came on, I reached out to my resources, like the late Bob Slade used to say, Fatim, I'm a newsman. I get this, and that's what's happening. So when we looked at the video, and I wish we get you, like you said, you show the video, it looks like some young folks that Cam is getting into it, and he is. But what has happened is that this goes back to even last year, and there's a lot of back and forth talking. And there's two coaches out there. One is Steph, and one is TJ. Understand? And they are coaching kids on the other side while Cam is coaching his kids. And they all have worked together. They know each other, but now they have teams. And so there's the back and forth talking, and what they've done because of this back and forth talking, Cam's group was not supposed to be even in that bracket. So they were supposed to be on that other side of the field. Saturday, there was back and forth talk. I don't know how you pronounce it, AO. Some of Cam's players ran up on TJ and Steph's players and did that. AO, but Steph and TJ players beat Cam's players. So anyway, Sunday comes, there's a little back and forth between Steph and Cam. Nothing bad, just a little, Wolf, you want to bet this, you want to bet that, it ain't going to be this, blah, 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 so and so. So anyway, it got to the point where it was back and forth, and they were on a step, and Cam and the coach TJ got into it. And it looked like Cam was going to have to swing on him. And that's when Steph said, oh, no, I'm going to have to go in there. And that's how this started. So we want to talk about it started from the kids. It's the adults sometime that can be the problem. They can be the problem. And a lot of people just looking at this, but it was a lot of back and forth that led up to this. And everybody, when you play sports, there's a lot of back and forth, but this just led up to this back and forth. And then people feel that they're getting disrespected. And especially when an adult is kind of egging this on, you just, unfortunately, people lose their temper. And that's what happened.
Well, you see, we're showing some of the footage that has been out there in the social space, and you'll see it. I kind of got it running on a loop without any sound, but you see even a law enforcement officer pushing folks back, and unfortunately, I hate when things like this happen. But there you go. You see Cam. Somebody either slanging Cam or Cam slinging somebody. Look like you got about 2 or 3 folk on them, or somebody tried to step it. Then somebody comes in, throws a punch. Come on, family. Come on.
That's
we got to do better.
And that's what my students say, that the adults in their lives leave that example. So they say, you know what? My father, I'm 17 years old. My father has been incarcerated for 16 years out of my life, or for 14 years out of my entire life. Or they say, I first learned about a gun, how to handle it, load it, pull the trigger from my uncle. Or my mom is locked up for doing the same crimes that I'm doing. So they have no real good examples at home. But then on the flip side of it, you still have some children that kind of go the wrong way. But when you look at home, you might see it seems like a good home and, they're well taken care of. But guess what? Sometimes they're spoiled. And when those kids are spoiled, you could still end up with the same kind of a child. by spoiling that child. Instead of making them earn stuff, work for stuff, have responsibility, have integrity, you can still have some rough situations come out of that as well. So it's all about balance, but really it's about parents having and making a better example. If you're adopted, because we have some children that are adopted, whoever chose to take on to raise you, they have a responsibility in it. It's not all up to the children. Their whole cerebral cortex is not even fully developed till around 25, so they can't even fully get it together and make positive decisions the entire time. So we have to have some better responsibility. Go ahead.
You mentioned integrity, and you mentioned integrity, Jackson. Excuse me for stepping on you a little bit there. This is why I said last week, and I brought this up, and I first said when I had this conversation with Reverend Sharpton some years earlier, when he was saying, well, you know what, I'm going after the N-word, and I have to go across the board. And I said, well, we use it. And he said, yeah, Fatine, we do use it. But he said, it comes a time with growth. And he said, I can't call other people out if I don't call myself out. You understand what I'm saying? So just to give you a great example, I played softball for years in the Cambria Heights men's softball league in Queens, New York. And that league is majority Black and brown, Black and Latinos. Every team is named after a Negro team league, not major league, but the Negro team league. So the brothers, they use the N-word loosely. So in the championship, one of the Black teams were playing a Spanish team. Spanish team used the N-word. Black team said, you can't use it. They was like, why? We can't use it. You use it. And a brawl takes place. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't sit here and decipher and say we can use it, and then when other people use it, you try to say they can't use it. You understand what I'm saying? And I went in a grocery store and I saw some Hispanics using the word more frequently than we. And I wanted to call them out. But how do I call them out when they come back and say, man, I hear your community doing it all the time? That's why we got to talk about integrity, and we got to be better. You can't continue to call out other people if you don't call out yourself and your community on some of the things, the negative things that they are doing.
You're right. Because we teach people how to treat us, right? We teach people how to talk to us. It's even in a relationship. The way you set it up, I always tell my young students, if you are dealing with a girl, or boys, dealing with a girl, girls dealing with the boy, the way the abuse starts many times, he's not going to knock you on the head the very first time. He's going to see, or she's going to see what they can get away with. First, it might start with the verbal tirades, saying, man, you stupid as hell. Oh, you're dumb, and then before you know it, if she doesn't really respond, or he doesn't respond, then it escalates. Okay, now you're a bitch. If she still doesn't really have any pushback, or then it turns into something else. It might be a little shove. It might be a mush in the face. And then before you know it, he's whooping your ass completely. And you wonder where it started, but it's with the little things. It's the little gestures that aren't so kind. And once people see they can get away with it, the door is open, and they'll just continue to abuse you. So with that language, we teach them how to talk to us, because that's how we talk to each other. So it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes.
But sometimes it starts, and I know Joe wants to get in here. Sometimes it doesn't just start little like that. Sometimes we are programmed like that. You said this is Tell the Truth Tuesday. All right, let's go.
Break it down.
My parents fought. My parents fought. One time my father threw a Coca-Cola bottle at the wall. My mother was on the side because he was mad. He's mad at her. Those Coca-Cola bottles back then, we're not talking about plastic. We're talking about them thick glass bottles.
Thick glass bottles.
When that bottle exploded against the wall, all those glass cut my mom's. He got to rush her to the emergency room. I saw the fighting. I saw the fighting with family. My family would come together for the holiday. Every holiday, my father got to put a plaster in the wall because it's a hole because of fighting. So when we grow up, I'll talk about me. When you get in a relationship and you get in an argument and you get so heated, sometimes you put hands because that's how you were taught. It don't just start with a shove. It don't
that's
start.
What you saw.
It's your program to the point, yo, you giving me lip. And then on the other side, some of the females have seen that same type of behavior, and you should hear that discussion. Well, you know what? I did curse him out. Yeah, he knocked me in my mouth. I guess I ran my mouth too much. That's the mentality that we have grown up into. And do you think it's just a switch to turn that off? No, it's not a switch. You have to learn. You have to learn. Me and my first wife, not my second wife that passed the sickle cell. You understand? We fought. But then I realized that's not how this is done. We fought
Amen.
one time. She called the cops. She called the cops on me. She called her family. I called my family. When I went back upstairs, she came out the bedroom and said, I want to press charges on him. On me. She came out the bedroom with a female cop. The male cop said, oh, hold it. Look at here. I looked down. I knew my shirt was ripped. I didn't know I had scratch marks that was starting to bleed.
She in trouble too.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's what he said. He said this is before OJ, and he said if I take her, I gotta take. If I take him, I gotta take her.
Right.
Because you have no physical marks. He does.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. We sometimes see this, and it's learned behavior. That's the proper terminology. It's learned behavior.
But guess what?
So-
In some situations like that, sorry, Joe, but in certain
go ahead.
situations like that, Brother Fatim, that same man that might be, hit or abuse women, or that same woman that might abuse men, they might get into a relationship with somebody else and never lay a hand. They know who they can do it to, and they know who they can do it to. So even with your parents, I'm sure back in the day, it probably did start with a couple little bits of disrespect to see what he can get away with. Because your dad, say if he divorced your mom, he could have gotten with another woman and never laid a hand on her that entire relationship.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? So we kind of know who we can get away with doing what to and who we can't.
Exactly. But my mother didn't play. So even though my father and my mom went through that fighting, my mom's didn't play. She wasn't passive. She'd take a lamp and blanket your head in a minute.
So as I jump into this thing, the craziest thing is, and I want y'all to really look at it from this point of view, because we've heard Jackson, we've heard Fatim. What I want folks to understand is the children are watching. Let me say that again. The children who later become adults are watching. So not only in the abuse arena, but in any arena. That's why, to me, it's a tragedy when you see the dismantling of a family, because the children are watching, and you are subliminally teaching the children how to do this thing. Subliminally. So watch this. If you're a mother and you're a father and y'all are not working out in marriage and one is cheating and there's infidelity going on, the children are watching and learning. And then all of a sudden, when later in life they're adults, you're still their mother and father, and you look at them and say, "Oh my God, why are you doing this? Because you taught me how to do this. You taught me how to run the scam. You
That's right.
Even though you didn't sit down and teach me. Oh, I was watching. I was watching when you did dope. I was watching when you sold dope. I was watching when you did credit card fraud. I was watching how you hustled the system with social services, how all of a sudden you claim auntie so-and-so's kids, and sometimes she would claim us. You showed me how to run this game. Then you get older and you look at your children and say, oh my God, where'd you learn that from? Oh my God, why are you taught me the game subliminally. Understand the children are watching. If you're in a single parent home and all of a sudden, and I know this from friends of mine, if you're in a single parent home and all of a sudden my boy got 15 uncles, these are your unks, man. These young, he gonna grow up one day and it's gonna click in his head. Them ain't my uncles. And when it does, the way then he begins to treat a woman may have a direct reflection of that, because guess what young boys say? Well, they did it to my mama. Come on, we got to be truthful about this. If it's hashtag truth be told, tell the truth Tuesday, tell the truth Tuesday. The reason generational curses exist is because you don't see them as a curse until you're at the end of your life and you look back and you go, oh my God, he's acting just like I acted. She acting just like I acted. And then with women and men, here's the charge off. Well, what's wrong with so-and-so? Oh, she just crazy. No, she's not crazy. She has an issue. He has an issue. They need help. No, they're not just crazy. And no, it's not just like that. And that's the problem. We charge too much BS to the game and say, oh, They're just crazy. That's just the way they are. Their mama was like that. They auntie, that runs in the family. Kill that curse. No, that don't run in my family. No, it don't. And we're going to address the issue and we're going to fix it.
But how do you, that's interesting. So it's crazy with us, but when it comes down to, let's just talk about organized crime. For instance, again, you know, I can only speak, you know, when I'm giving specifics here in New York City, where John Gotti was, I mean, he's world known, John Gotti. And we grew up here in New York. Matter of fact, we grew up in the media with John Gotti. We protest out in Howard Beach for where John Gotti lived. And it was known that John Gotti Jr. honestly didn't really want part of the mob, but his father was like, this is your legacy. This is how it is done, and this is where it's going to be done. So if you look at in our community, what we just talking about, or if you look at an organized crime, how the families sometime a made person may come outside of the family, but this is a tradition. Traditions are passed on. If you look at the gangs that first came to New York, that were immigrants that came to New York, that some were gangs, this was a tradition, and it's a tradition that grew. So this is nothing new when we start to look at this learned behavior, Joe and Jack. Learned behavior, it comes in all forms across the board with all sorts of people.
I agree with that, but just because it's learned behavior doesn't mean it's right behavior.
Oh, I didn't say it. I didn't say it right, but sometimes it's not right.
See, and that's why in this conversation I want to make it crystal clear. A lot of learned behavior is wrong behavior, and it's not right. And our excuse we use, the crutch we use, is because so and so did it, daddy did it, mama did it. That's just how we do it. No, just because that's how we do it, don't mean that we're doing it right. And you said something that was instrumental, and I want people to catch that, Fatim. You have to unlearn what you have learned.
Right.
You have to unlearn. Sometimes you have to look your good self in the mirror and say, mama and daddy. And I know that hurts. When you look at yourself in the mirror and say, my mama and daddy were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
sometimes you got to do that. And guess what? It's the hardest to tax your own people, to tax your own children, and to tax yourself. That's hard. It's hard to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I ain't right. It's hard. It's hard to really do that. Now, you can give yourself some lip service and say, oh, I'm wrong, and not mean it. But when you really mean it, when you really look at your mom and dad and say, oh my God, they were really wrong. This was wrong. What they showed me, what they taught me, the principles they stood up on was wrong. That's hard, Sister Jax.
You know what? It makes me think about when I was married the first time. There was not a lot of affection. I ended up in a marriage. I got pregnant out of wedlock with my daughter. And I kind of said, you know what? I stepped out of line. So let me just, deal with it the best I can. He wanted to marry me. So I said, okay, we'll go ahead. And we got married. I said, it's not my daughter's fault that I was being fresh and got pregnant out of wedlock. So let me try to make it right for her. She deserves to have a mother and a father. And the first time he stepped out of the marriage, I was ready to leave. And my mom said, if I could have done it all over again when your father stepped out, I would have found a way to forgive and stay and kept my family together. So I ended up saying, okay, you know what, charge it to the game. We'll work this thing out. But my heart already said leave. But I said, you know what, I don't know everything. Let me listen to my elder and see how this thing works. It still ended up becoming a mess. My children never really saw that true love and affection between me and their father. Because I just was never feeling him like that for the most part, right? It was kind of like a contract. We have these kids to raise. Let me do what I have to do and put my wants and dreams and desires to the side to raise my children the best way I can. So fast forward, 14 years later, whatever, I'm remarried now. So, my husband and I, love each other to the ends of the earth and back. And so now my children see the affection and the love and the nurturing. And my daughter's like, ew, mommy, that's so cringe, because she's not used to it. But I had to tell my children back then when I was married to their father, look, I need you guys to understand this is dysfunctional. This is not a good situation. This is not healthy. Mommy is loving and affectionate and attentive, but I'm just not with the right person right now. You know, that's your daddy. You love him. That's great, but it's not the right fit for me. But I'm gonna hang on in there as long as I can. So now that my children see the natural love and affection and commitment that my husband and I have now, they're blown away, and they're still kind of grossed out a little bit by it. But you can see the smile and the joy that they have, because they're like, this is a healthy, functional relationship, and this is what I want. And even last night, my husband, he had to work overtime. He doesn't get back home until maybe 11 o'clock. He had to run out and go to church. There was something going on at church. He had to shoot there real quick. So I was about to fall asleep. He woke me up and he said, babe, can you heat something up for me? So this morning on the way to school, my daughter said, Mom, you woke up to heat him up something to eat. Why couldn't he do it by himself? I said, Olivia, that's my job as his wife. I don't care what I'm doing. He's out there risking his life to work for our family, you know. So if he wants me to pick something else up or whatever, I'm going to heat it up. Although, yes, he's capable of doing it, but that's my job. And when you try to live like a godly woman, doing your job does not feel like a chore. I was honored to come downstairs out of the bed to heat his food back up for him when he walked in the door. And I said, you need to learn that, Olivia, as well, so that when you are a wife, you know how to take care of your husband as well, and nothing is ever too much for him.
Exactly.
Man,
I want to commend you on
that's
that.
deep. That's deep.
And let me just say this, that I'm glad that your children are seeing that, because it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to experience it. And that's the whole thing. My children, as you use, and Eddie Bonnet says, cringe is a constant word. And I'm going to build on the word constant, is that my kids didn't cringe. This is what they saw. They saw a mother who, even though she lived with sickle cell disease and was in pain at times, they still saw a nurturer from her. And then they saw me being supportive for her. But just like you're saying, those things, what you said, if I came home late from a softball game at 10:30, 11 o'clock, my wife would get out that bed, unless she didn't feel well or something like that. I wasn't like that kind of person, you know, but we worked together. And we talked about that last night. My daughter was making dinner last night, and we were talking about the things that they saw. And now, as they have grown into women, what they expect from their men. You understand that? That's so important. But I just want to go back to what Joe talked about, learned behavior, and what is that we have to be honest with ourselves and say what is bad. We also have to understand that sometimes from our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents, we might have learned behavior that might not have been good for us, but it might have been the circumstance and the situation they were dealing with. So, for instance, which I brought up, diet. You know, when we first started telling, you know, my moms and my aunts, we were cutting pork out of our diet. Oh, y'all got that Muslim religion and this, that, and the other. Yeah, but y'all the one running around here with blood pressure almost hitting 200.
That's right.
Okay, y'all running around here like that. You understand? Till the doctor tells you, oh, you got to cut down this pork, you got to cut this fried food down, and then they come back to us one day. You know, y'all are on to something. Well, damn right we on to something. You understand? But this is because y'all have learned this, that you're going to reject it at first. I got that. We understand that. But that's how you break it, through conversation and education. And sometimes you can't shock people out of their ways, because that's people true. So instilled in their ways, you have to lead by example. And then sometimes when you tell them, somebody on the outside might tell them the same thing, and they may gravitate to that. And you'll say, well, I told you that. Even though they gravitate to this person. We've been telling them, we used to say back in the day when Walter Cronkite used to be the news guy, if Walter Cronkite said don't eat pork, you won't eat pork. I bet you that, ma. Or she would get mad at me. But the reality is that they had their sources, and from the children, they didn't expect that they could learn from the children, because they was always the teachers.
Well, as you see, this conversation can go in many branches. A, who are your trusted sources? And then we'll go back into a situation of how we all of a sudden fell into this diaspora of certain folks with certain skin tones were trusted sources. Look, at the end of the day, here I want to go two ways with this. First way I want to go is, you're absolutely correct. Sometimes at that time, that's why I always talk about evolution. If we don't evolve, we'll become extinct. Some of us are still dealing with that same teachings from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s, and the 70s, and the 80s, and we're trying to work it out on the 27th day of February 2024. And times have changed. Technology has changed. Information has changed. Trusted sources has changed. There's not a Walter Con. This is Walter Cron. This is Walter right here. It's Walt right here. You know. So now you got to vet information, and with this new AI, you got to vet if the information is really what you saw, because it may not be what you saw. It might be a computer generated image that you all of a sudden believe, oh, those are pretty little puppies running in the snow. And those are not pretty little puppies running in the snow, though that's what your eyes told you. So as we switch over to our next thing, which it's good that we're talking about this, trusted information sources. Trusted information sources. You know, we've been talking about something that, you know, and it's 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Great conversation, y'all. Man, let me give y'all y'all needed that one. Great conversation, because we're being very transparent about the truth. And the truth is, you know, we're here to communicate and to tell you our truth and to begin conversation and dialogue that may bring about healing to our communities, to our people, to people everywhere. So phone lines are always open. They're always open. Let me put the phone line or banner up there so you'll know. Phone lines are open, 225-250-8770. And we thank you for all the comments in the chat. We see that Eddie Barnett is in the chat. We see Melanie Prather is in the chat. We see Keisha Carly is in the chat. We see Jules Wall is in the chat. Laura Bell is in the chat. Thank you for everybody who's logged in. We are on social media, on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube Live, and we are on Instagram. So thank you wherever you may be watching us at right now, or however you may be listening to us. If you want to call in and be a part of the conversation, you can. 225-250-8770. Starting tomorrow, I'm giving away money. MONEY. I'm going to shuffle the deck, and we're going to, because it's still Black History Month. It's still Black History Month, and we're going to talk about Black history. Speaking about Black history, informational sources, and Black period. On the other side of the coin, and when I say the other side of the coin, because there's always two sides of a coin, there is a group called the Black Conservative Foundation. Donald Trump spoke there, and Donald Trump made some comments that should be, to most people of color, a little egregious and quite racist. But some won't see it that way, because some folks say, man, he was just giving some playful banter that you'll vote for me because I have a mugshot, and I've been through the same plight of being arrested as you have. The implication that all we do is get in trouble and get arrested. You're going to like me because I have a tennis shoe that looks like Air Force Ones, and you know y'all love Air Force Ones. That's y'all thing. You know that the only thing that turns us on is incarceration and tennis shoes. You know, now I can only speak for me. I was quite offended with those comments. I know, because I have talked to some people who are of color and conservatives to say, come on, Joe, you're just taking this too serious. And guess what? I will hear your point of view. I will respect your point of view, but I will not agree with your point of view. Because my point of view is those were very racist comments. And to come from somebody who was a former president of this great country and may wind up being the president of this great country again, that's dangerous. That's dangerous, family. So Tim Scott, Roland Martin, very good friend of mine. Roland Martin called Tim out on this. Tim jumps out and says a blatant lie. Tim Scott from South Carolina jumps up and says, Donald Trump has did more for historically Black colleges and universities than any other president. He has. That's a lie. He may have allocated a lot of money, but those allocations all got pulled back. So he hasn't did anything for HBCUs except make a promise. And we got to start remembering what I'm about to say before I turn it over to Fatima and Jack. It's a difference between a promise made and a promise delivered. Whoever wants to take the floor can have it.
Let me jump in here real quick. So, you know, Joe's nice. Joe's nice. I ain't so nice.
Yeah.
I'm not so nice. I'll respect I'll respect a person that they have a right to have their opinion, but I ain't gonna respect their opinion if their opinion is way off in left field. If somebody calls me a derogatory name and I call them out and they say, "Oh, that they say, man, you taking that too serious. That's light banter." I ain't respecting what you saying. I ain't not doing that. It's not cool. And see, that's the problem. Sometimes you gotta put a little fire where fire is needed. We're playing with folks. Ain't time to be playing with folks. I'm not worried about hurting people's feelings. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And if it's gonna hurt people in the long run, then I'm calling you out. You have a right to have an opinion. That don't mean I gotta respect your opinion if your opinion is definitely wrong. If I said something wrong against a person or a group of individuals, and somebody calls me out, they ain't gotta say, "Well, Fatine, I'm trying to be nice about." No, you call me out because if I'm wrong and if I offended somebody, I'm wrong. You might respect that I have an opinion, but you shouldn't respect my opinion if I'm being rude and crude. You understand? And disrespectful to you. Jax, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, when you think back about the sneaker, right? Although we know nobody's a Trump, advocate and supporter at all. In terms of the business side of it, it was a good idea for the simple fact that not that he's trying to target to get our people because it's not going to turn into votes, not at all. But I'm saying if for instance, if Barack Obama would have done it, a sneaker, right? You know how much money he would have made off of that because our people were all for Barack Obama supporting. So business wise, it was a good move, but it's not going to be for Trump, not at all, right? And so when he's thinking that Black folks are just going to go out there and buy the sneaker and that will translate into votes, we all know that's not the case whatsoever, especially a sneaker that looks like that, let alone for a man that acts like that. So I did some research and found that the most expensive sneaker sold in last year in 2023 for $2.2 million. It sold at an auction. And what sneaker was that? That was the Jordan 13s, right? It was called Bread. Now, of course, in terms of bread, who has the bread in our community for the most part to buy a sneaker at that value? Right. And now when I switch the lens now, I think about how there was a $1 billion donation. I'm not sure if you guys heard about it to a medical school in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. And,
it's $1 billion.
Yeah, that's $1 million. Yeah, billion. Yep.
$1 billion.
That's right.
With a B.
Yes, 1 billion. And that's so powerful. And I had a conversation with my daughter on the way to school because she used to want to be a neurosurgeon, right? So you could actually go online and see her, Dr. Olivia Lake, doctor in training on YouTube, and see her videos about, she's wearing her scrubs and her lab coat talking about the brain and brain health, right? She used to travel around and get paid when she was 10 years old to teach people about the brain and brain health. Now, she switched over. Now she wants to be an attorney followed by a judge and hopes to get on the Supreme Court one day. So, in talking to her about this story, she was blown away. And I said, Olivia, that's where faith comes in. I said, you know how many students were deterred from trying to get into medical school because they thought it couldn't be paid for? Or do you know how many students were in medical school who said, I'll never be able to afford it. I don't know what I'm going to do to finish out, my medical college career, right? But that's why God talks about, don't worry about what's happening tomorrow. Focus on today. Because tomorrow, that person, that board member donated that $1 billion. So now those students don't have to worry about any costs. And they will also go retroactive and take care of their last semester that they were paying for, the last term for, the year, and cover that as well. And that's why we just have to look at the bigger picture and look at business and take it for what it is.
Exactly. And in the last month, we focused on Spelman College. Out down in Atlanta, where their trustee donated millions of dollars down there that helps them, and with endowment as well. So there's money that can go there for the students, but endowment, if you understand, folks, is that the school can invest that money, and that investment turns into more money, which helps the school and the students in the long run down the road. So it builds for the future for
Mhm.
Spelman College or HBCUs. You see what I'm saying? So that's what
Hey.
Donald Trump didn't do for
Right.
HBCUs. And it's amazing, Joe, real quick, is that you talk about Trump and he did so much for Black folks, which he didn't. And then we look at some of the prosecutors that are coming against him now are color. Fannie and a sister,
Georgia,
DA,
Georgia.
Fannie,
Mhm.
because somebody
Georgia.
told me don't say call Fannie, call her Fannie. That's right.
Right.
You got New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Mhm.
You got Manhattan DA Bragg. You understand? And these are people of color that are uplifting the community. They're great examples of a community. We don't hear one thing about them that's doing a stand-up job for the community, but we want to talk about a grifter. We want to talk about a sex violator, a sex abuser, and then we want to put him on top and say he's done a lot for our community, which that's a lie. That's what I'm saying. I can't take that and come out, Joe, and say I respect their opinion, where their opinion is hogwash.
Well, you
And
know,
I'm only
and
using
like I
that word
said-
because I'm in a facility today.
look, I'll say it for you.
What it is.
What Fatim really wanted to say was is bullshit, but he
you
can't
go.
say
Thank
it in
you.
the environment that he's in. But you know,
Let's say bovine excrement.
right? So though he got his bell there.
Right, got my bell.
So family, we really have to begin to and Fatim, I'm going to say this because maybe I have you in a controlled environment and I can say this with you there.
Oh, if I need
You
to
know,
say BS now, I'll say some bullshit now.
I know you will. I know you will. I know you will. You know, so I want to address this from this point of view because somebody sent me a very long email and I had a very long conversation a few days ago about people of color who are conservative. So let me kind of get myself together for this. Most folk who are of color and are conservative, and this saddens me when the person said this, but I had to really sit there and digest this. They said the reason that they feel the way they feel is because of the evangelical stance that the Conservative Party has taken when it comes down to pro-life and to the Bible in general. And I'm gonna say this the easiest way I can. And Jax, you may have to pull me out of this real quick, like in the Matrix, like just snatch it, brother. I really wanted to tell some folks, the three folks I talked to 2 women and a man who I know are very conservative, who are of color. And it saddened me because it let me know that your interpretation of the Bible was given to you by folks who did not look like you. Because if you really interpreted that Bible the way it should be, there's no way in hell you're going to rock and roll with the folks you're rolling with. Now, that's just my opinion. Once again, I sit there with every fiber of my being and listen to each one of their conversations, which was very similar, which was you see what he's done for the church. And once again, when you understand the apparatus aranda of a thing, when you know what the real function is, the rich will stay rich. And they will do that on the back of the poor staying poor. And it just saddened me that when I talk to these conservatives who are people of color, who some live in my communities, their backing was the evangelical stance, the pro-life stance, you taking God out of school, you taking this and this. And I'm like, and I really wanted to say it to one of them, but I couldn't. So I just had to sit there and take it in and digest it and say, Joe, shut up and see it from their point of view. Try to understand, which I couldn't at the end of the day. But I do understand now because you have been colonized, truly colonized. That if I try to tell you that that picture on the wall ain't him, he looked like you and I, you'd be ready to fight me tooth and nail. You'd be ready to box me. No, you're wrong. And you do know the disciples look like us, and then when one of them who had made a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, I looked her in the eye and I said, How many folks did you see that look like them over there when you went over there? Because I've been all over the world. I've been there. I've been in Egypt. I've been in Israel. I've been certain places. Come on, really? I've been to Damascus. I've actually 10 toes down stood in Damascus. Not something I saw in a book, not something I saw in a movie. I've been in Damascus. In my lifetime, I've seen that city. Come on, family, we got to do better. Now, I'm trying to get a clear understanding because I may have some conservatives on here that are of color. Outside of what I really want to know, is it just because of the pro-life, the evangelical stance? Because you do understand that's the same Bible they used back in slavery days to say this justifies us being the slave master and you being the slave. And I really can't say too much more.
I can. Come on, brother. So this is you started off right, Joe, about conservatives, but I don't want to lump them together because what I want to say is
now I'm talking about black conservatives. Only three I talk to.
I'm going there, brother. So with the black conservatives, you got to understand what the definition of conservatives is. It falls back into our earlier conversation about learned behavior. Conservatives are really mostly on tradition. They stick with tradition. So that's learned behavior. You understand? And the same with the extreme of conservatism and the extreme of liberals or liberatism is bad on both parts. It's bad on both parts. There needs to be a common area where you can listen to both sides and bring it together. Dr. King talked about this, and he said this, and I'll just read this quote because I don't feel like finding the exact quote, but it's the same thing that Dr. King, because he said this. He said, the kingdom of brotherhood is found neither in the theses or of communism, nor the antithesis of capitalism, but in a higher synthesis. So what he's trying to say, he just used communism and capitalism, basically two different extremes, in saying that there's truth that can be found in both sides when you come together and you bring the minds together. So what happens with conservatism and liberatism, when you bring people together and they have an open mind of working together, that you can find the truth. But when you deal with the extreme of both ends, there's no truth there. Each side is going to believe that they have the whole truth, but you both can have truth within there, but you have to find that level of truth and work together. Because I can understand some conservatives back in the day, black conservatives, that talk about where people, generations have been dependent on welfare in the black community. And that's a true statement with some. It's a true statement. And some of the conservatives wanted to say, well, we need to find a way to wean those folks off of that situation. That makes sense. Creating jobs, creating mechanisms to help people. But what you said, Joe, is right. Now it is attached to abortion, right to live. But it's amazing. You want to do away with abortion, but you don't want to fund families that need the money to take care of their children. You cut all those kind of programs. So that's what I'm saying. That's where the bullshit comes in. That's where the bullshit comes in, because you don't really talk about life. Because if you're about life and you want to stop abortion, then you would not cut funding for folks that are having children and need to take care of them. See, that's why I said you become hypocritical.
But that's part of the whole process. The goal is to make us become extinct, actually, right? So when you look at the food they're giving us, the whole situation with abortion, like scripture says, like God knew you before you were in the womb. right? So they will force a lot of stuff on us. They will also make sure we don't have the proper medical care, the proper education. They'll put the guns in the community, the drugs in the community. It's all a part to make us messed up and extinct. Then when you look at how, how certain agendas that they're pushing, where two of the same cannot procreate, right? How are we going to continue on with our race if they keep on pushing in our community? Every show you turn on, it could be a commercial, it could be, a hip hop black kind of a show. You'll see some sort of two people that are the same together, right? And if that's what people do, that's what they do. But we know that, anatomically, two of the same cannot make a child. So if we have all these other factors coming against us, how are we going to blossom and grow and continue on with us as a people? Because we won't even exist. Go ahead, Joe.
That's a good point. It is 5 minutes past the top of the hour. I implore everybody to do this. Because I did this because I want to, I have a new nephew that just got to this world a few weeks ago. So I went to go get a product for my sister-in-law. And let me make y'all trip out on something. I want y'all to drive through your neighborhoods and count the pawn shops. Drive through your neighborhoods and count the convenience stores that sell liquor and those type items. And then just go inside a grocery store, if there is one in your community of color. Go inside that grocery store and look what they have on the shelves. Here's why I say that. I had a sister who was craving some ramen noodles. She was craving them. She said, "Oh, I've had the baby. I really want some ramen noodles. Can you go get them for me?" The hospital is in a predominantly the hospital is actually located in a community that is not non-color. It's progressively mostly white. I went to the same store. I'm not going to name the store. I went to the same store on that side of town that I would have if I was in my community of color, because the same store is same store. And I went in there and could not find Nair ramen noodle. Nair. I asked the guy, I said, "Hey," I said, "y'all don't carry this?" He said, "No, we don't carry this at this store." He said it very calmly. And now that we're in this conversation, man, we got to start paying attention. Because then when I came back to my side of town and went to the same store, the same name, it wasn't a different store. It's not that I'm not going to name the store. It's not like I went to a Kroger and an HEB no, I went to the same store. I'm not going to say the store. On my side of town, there was a whole aisle of ramen noodles. A whole aisle full of ramen noodles. When the same store on the other side of town did not have Nair ramen noodle. Nair. They had some Oriental noodles. But they did not have the high in sodium, bad for your health ramen noodles. I mean, and look, somebody might say, "Bruh, you'll never get an endorsement from ramen." Not trying to.
That's right.
And that just, we got to pay attention, y'all. Hey, just listen. Ride through your neighborhood and look at your neighborhood. Look at it. Look at what's there. Ride through it. Look at the schools in your neighborhood. Look at the street conditions in your neighborhood. Look at the houses in your neighborhood. Then drive to another neighborhood that is not like your neighborhood.
So
that you don't live in.
What else?
Go ahead, Jack.
What else do we have in our neighborhoods? Chicken shacks on every corner, liquor stores on every corner. We'll have pharmacies, because guess what? They're going to make money. Once they make it sick, now they got to make it better. So they'll have the pharmacy, but then that's still actually making it sick. You can't find any fresh vegetables. Once in a while, a farmer's market may pop up here and there. You go to the grocery store, the vegetables are horrible, shiny as hell, sprayed with all type of BS that's no good for us. So there's nothing that we truly need in our community. And like you said, the housing is messed up, the schools, the water, in certain places is still messed up. And it's unfortunate, but guess what? Like scripture says, our people will perish for the lack of knowledge. right? So you were able to observe and discern what was really going on, but many times we're on autopilot. We go into, whatever store and don't pay attention to our surroundings. So we need, as a people, to start to dial back and pay attention and slow down and use discernment and use discipline and what we buy. Cook your damn food. Stop always running out. In the urban areas, it's fast food spots on damn near every corner. You'll have a McDonald's, a Checkers, all this other stuff. No, we need to cook at home, cook healthy food. If you have to go to another town to get your food, go to another town to get your food, but also come together as a people to make sure that healthy food comes into our town. When they have those meetings, those public hearing notices that people just walk past and don't even pay any attention to, we need to go to those community meetings to say, wait a minute, y'all want to build another liquor store here, or you want to build another, fast food chain here? No, we're not having it. But we don't exercise our power, and we don't show up to these meetings to oppose what they're putting in our community.
Yeah. So
and the reason is I'm gonna jump over to Fatim, and one of the reasons we don't do that is because, unfortunately, we have individuals who look like us, who are in government, that instead of saying the quality of a business coming into our community, all of a sudden we talk about jobs coming into our community. No, sometimes you got to look at the quality of a thing, not the quantity of a thing. Brother Fatim, the floor is yours.
So this is many roads leads to the fountain on this one. First of all, we don't control our community. So we have other cultures. I'll say it. You don't have to say it. I'll say it. You got the Arab man and the Spanish man in our community that comes in our community. You understand that we don't control our community. I remember we had a black vegetable stand, and then we had across the street, you had a Korean stand across the street, but up the block we had 2 more Korean stands. Mm-hmm. So I try to support the brother, but his prices was higher. So I told him one day, I said, yo, bro, I'm trying to support you, but your prices are high. And he was like, well, the reason why the Koreans could do cheaper prices because they have a monopoly on the business. And I understood that, but that didn't mean I was going to pay higher prices, So we don't control the community. As you start to talk about the businesses in our community, or the unhealthy food in our community, just go in a grocery store in a black community and go in when I say not a grocery store, a big grocery store, I'm talking about a store on the corner. Mm-hmm. You go in a grocery store, bodega, we call them in New York, bodega, in a black community, and you go in the bodega in a white community. When you go in the bodega in the white community, you'll see fruit, you'll see vegetables, you'll see that in the front. When you go in the black bodega, you see nothing but cookie, candies, and cakes.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? So now, then we want to bitch and moan. I understand why, because in the black community, we talk about gentrification, where you don't have the resources. Then when our black brothers and sisters get pushed out, and I'm not a fan of gentrification, but once you start to see that happening, don't you see the community starts to change? Don't you start to see the businesses start to change? Don't you see the investments that's coming into the community? We got to get smarter, as both of you have said. We have to get smarter. Joe and Jax, our community have to get smarter, because if you're going to live like a peasant, you're going to get treated like a peasant. And then when gentrification comes in, you want to bitch and moan. But some people are like, you know what? The community is changing. It's getting better for the people that's here. So why didn't you do that when you had the opportunity to do that? If you didn't do that, what has changed? What has changed in a sense of control in your community? You never had control, and then when gentrification comes in, you still don't have control. You understand?
So Brother Fatim, Brother Eddie Barnett has a question. I'm putting it on the screen. I'll let you read it, because I think this question is directed at you.
All right. So Eddie Barnett says, question: what would be the plan to divorce ourselves from this two-party system? We don't owe them our allegiance. So Brother Eddie, great point. Great point. And, one of the things, and I give a lot of credit to the brothers and sisters that came before me that have dropped this on me. He says that America with this two-party system is antiquated. It's old, it's stale, and the people are suffering for it. If you go into different countries across this globe, there are more than one party system. So how do we divorce ourselves from a party system? You have to create. Remember, there's a two-party system, a two-party dominant system. There are protocols, Brother Eddie, put in place that other parties can become a party and become a legitimate party. But you got to meet that criteria. Once you meet that criteria, you can go on the ballot in all 50 states. The problem is the mindset of the people. They don't want to trust that, or we don't have good candidates for that, and we don't have good investment for that. So the only way that we can divorce ourselves from that is us, the people. We have to believe in ourselves and create these other parties and follow the criteria and become a powerful voice. Once become that powerful voice, and remember, once that happens, the Republicans and the Democrats are going to come to go against it. But if the people believe in it, then the people will thrive. That's how you divorce yourself from it.
Oh, you're on mute, Joe.
Oh, so Jax was trying. Great point for team. Jax was trying to send me something. I'm going to try to pull it up from her Facebook page. You know, where we can see this. Family, you need some optics to go with this. And family, we need to wake up. Wake up. It is 15 minutes past the hour. Great conversation today. Great conversation. And, you know, we need to wake up. We need to understand that folks will portray a narrative that appears to be a narrative that is pro us, but is really pro them in the long run. And you cannot let these Trojan horses keep rolling up into our communities. Mm-hmm. You got to stop that. We got to stop letting these Trojan horses roll up in our communities. You know, it looks like it's good, but soon as the horse unloads, everything in the community dies. And only certain folks benefit from that. We've got to do better. We've got to wake up. We've got to be a part of the conversation. You know, think about this. And I really want y'all to think about it. As much as social media has hurt, we got a caller. Hold on. Caller, welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told. State your name and where you're calling from and what you want to talk about.
I'm calling from Jersey. Larry Rodriguez.
Hey, Mr. Rodriguez. Talk to me, man.
Brother? Everything all right? Oh, we were talking about today, politics, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Get into it, man.
Okay, brother. Like I would like to say is talk about is the politics of Joe Biden and Donald Trump again. Okay. Everybody's saying like they talk about Donald Trump every day. They talk to the press. They talk about Donald Trump, and they do a lack of talking and what Joe Biden did. You know, when he wasn't the president, when he was just a senator and all that. You know, that's not right. Let's be fair on both sides of the streets.
Right. You know, and we have been. Hold it, Mr. Rodriguez. I'm glad you called because I asked this question. I've been talking to people of color who are conservative. Can you tell me? I mean, if you could give me just a what policies does Donald Trump stand on that you agree with? That's what I want to know. What policies? Not a philosophy of immigration,
criminal reform.
Criminal reform, okay.
And the economy.
So his policies, his policies on immigration, which is the border, his policy on criminal reform, and I think you said something else, economics, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you believe that his policies that were implemented the 4 years that he was in office in those areas, those are the ones that gravitate to you to make you feel like he's the man that needs to be running this country. I just want to make sure I'm clear with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you let's expound on economics, because I think that's somewhere where we can all have common ground. Do you feel like economically and do you feel like not only your but everyone's, do you feel like everybody is worse off or better off from an economic standpoint of view now than we were 4 years ago?
Wait, when Donald Trump was in office, we was doing much better than now. With Joe Biden running, everything's going down. The country's not doing good. We're in debt. We have more money taken out of our pockets. We're paying for wars that we're not involved. It's not necessary. We're getting migrants, money from crossing the border illegally, and we have our own problems in the United States with, the Black community, the homeless, and mental health. These are key components that need to be fixed in our country before we go outside that country to help other countries.
Well,
Okay.
hold on. And Mr. Rodriguez, just bookmark that right there. During Donald Trump's tenure, we were also in conflict. There was not a major war going on, but we were dealing with Aleppo, and Donald Trump did, in his time of president, order a few missile strikes on a few targets in a few countries outside of this country. So we were in conflict, and we support wars. Right now, we're not in a war. But we're supporting other countries as they go through their conflicts, as they had supported us when we were going through ours. I think if the numbers show right, and I would have to pull up the numbers, Mr. Rodriguez, but I think if the numbers show right, man, economically, we're actually doing better now than we were back when Trump was in office. And I'm just a numbers guy. I don't go with the talk. I think the numbers say that unemployment is down, especially amongst people of color, more now than it ever was, and that's more than it was during Trump's time in office. So I just want to make sure that we're looking at the same numbers.
Yes, you're absolutely correct, brother.
So once again, if the numbers are better now than they were with Trump, I don't see how anybody can stand on it was better with Trump when the numbers were worse with Trump. Because guess what? You lie, I lie, you fabricate, I fabricate. We stand on what we believe in, but numbers never lie.
Facts never changes.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Does anybody else on my panel? Brother Fatim, you want to jump in this, man?
Nope.
What's up, my brother?
What's up, bro?
Good morning. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm feeling great, man. Great, man. Glad
How was your trip in New York?
I'm here. I got to speak this afternoon. I'm still here in New York. I thought you was going to call into my BLS show on Sunday. I was looking forward to it.
Brother, I'm sorry about that. I had a lot of other things to do,
That's cool.
on a weekend. I don't work on a weekend. I got a lot of things I have to do, family thing, and
we respect that.
It's the most important.
So Brother Rodriguez, I appreciate you calling in, my brother. Continue to listen, continue to call in. Thank you for your call for today. I had to cut him off for a minute because we got other things to deal with. It is 21 minutes past the hour. You too can call in just like Brother Rodriguez. He calls in on a regular, and we will listen. Brother Eddie put up something here that read that for me, Brother Fatim, please.
60 billion. Joe Biden is fighting to send to Ukraine. What could Black America do with some of that? So, Eddie, I'm not going to debate you on that. That's one of the things that we have been saying for the longest, that it's amazing that you can find this kind of money for Ukraine, and we understand what's in jeopardy dealing with Ukraine, and we understand that in supporting Ukraine. We got that. But the same thing should be done here. Same thing on the migrant situation. You could find money to put these people across the country in hotels. You can give them EBT cards, or you plan to, because I heard that now that whole situation with EBT cards debit cards, not EBT cards, debit cards in New York City might have been reneged on because of so much pressure from the people. And that's it. So those things, I'm not going to argue with you, Eddie. I'm right on the bandwagon with you. I'm right on the bandwagon with you. I'm right on that bandwagon where where's the president? Where's President Biden's kahunas? Where's your balls, President, when it comes down dealing with Israel? You want to continue to ask for money, but they continue the genocide of those innocent Palestinian people over there. That's the problem. So yes, we will call those out. But Eddie, you got no problem with me on that. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not that loyal to the Democratic Party that I don't see they're wrong. That's not the point. The point is, when it comes to comparison, who will be better, even though both of them are not the best for us.
Hey, caller, hold on for 1 second.
They're not the best for us. But who will be the better? Unfortunately, is the best of the less of the two evils. And I hate to say that, but that's where we at. But Eddie Bonnet, you raised a great question. I'm right with you. I'm an ally on that, my brother.
And you know, Brother Fatine, Eddie Bonnet reached out to me on social media. So I told him to call in, but he's scared y'all gonna eat him up. I was like, he said, I ain't scared of you.
See, I agreed with him right there.
See, hold on. So we got a caller on the line. Caller, would you tell us who you are and where you're calling from?
This is Laura Bell again, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, Miss Bell, how are you doing? Come on, let's
Hey,
talk to me.
Laura,
Talk
good
to
to
me.
hear from you, my sister.
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Brother Fatine. How you guys doing?
Doing great, my sister. What you got for us today?
Well, I was listening to the last caller who apparently support Donald Trump on whatever mission he's on and stuff. But you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but in 2016, I actually voted for the guy. And I think I spoke of this on your show, Brother Fatine, WBLS, Open Line Online. Oh my God. I didn't mean to.
So why did you vote for him? If we look, I don't now hold it. Let me give you my disclaimer. Who you vote for and how you vote is your right. Hold on. Let me do
You
this.
gotta go to those disclaimer, Joe. Just let her answer the question.
No, wait a minute.
You ain't gotta put no disclaimer out.
I have
Why?
to, Miss Laura. I have to, because I don't want anybody feel like we're trying to sway a person to vote a certain way or not to vote a certain way. At the end of the day, that is your choice, and whatever reason you made that choice was your choice. You have to stand 10 toes down for your choice.
I want to know why Laura voted on, because we already had the conversation.
Okay, so come on, Laura. Let go.
Yes.
Why'd you vote for him?
Hey, I understand everything Brother Fatine is saying. And believe me, I've been kicking myself ever since then when I voted for Donald Trump. Believe it or not, and of course, like any black person who would be blind to anything he says, because almost everything that comes out his mouth is pure poison, but for some reason or another, it seems like everybody believes everything he says. And back in the days, I wasn't thinking in my right mind. I voted for the guy because there was something about him that I actually did like. I can't say specifically what it was, but there was something about him that I actually did like, that I voted for him. 4 years later, I voted, fast forward it all, I voted for Biden because I didn't see the same thing in Biden that I saw in Trump. I saw more honesty in Biden, which is all the more reason why I'm kicking myself now that I didn't even vote for Hillary Clinton. She should have gotten more of the votes. Donald Trump cheated like a MF, and I'm like, oh my God, why did I even vote for this idiot? I mean,
so Ms. Laura,
yes?
Because he was a good used car salesman. That's why. And there's a difference between a promise made and a promise delivered. He was a good used car salesman. And guess what? He made you fall in love with that used car. You were like, oh, this is the best thing, until you got it home. And then all of a sudden you said, oh my God, this thing got problems.
It's called personality. What happens is a lot of us don't know all the facts. And I appreciate Laura being honest about this, because we discussed this on our Open Line Online show. And thank you for calling. You don't got to cringe, Laura, for that, because you're being honest.
Thank you for calling, Miss Laura.
Thanks, Laura. But
it's time. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's times when we vote for personalities because a lot of people just don't understand the facts. Some people don't get up to the last day. Oh, I got to go vote. Let me go out there and vote. I don't know who to vote for. I don't know this. It's times when my late wife would be like, I don't know. So I used to provide her books, because when politics is local, when you're voting for assembly and state senate and things like that, you don't know these people. You got to know their record. So you got to understand. You don't have to be a total student of it, but you need to know something about the history of the person. We just voting, but I like the way he articulates that. I like the way he wears that suit. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, Hillary must have told a lie, because all he has said, she lied. You understand what I'm saying? But he said that about her. But if we say that about him, that's why I said Biden is not the candidate should be running. Because we need somebody that's up in Donald Trump's backside right now, that's giving it to him.
Definitely.
Everywhere he opens his mouth, that candidate is coming at him.
Well,
Can I say one thing before I leave, guys?
Go ahead, Ms.
Can I
Laura.
say one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I've learned my lesson in the past. You always have to do research on the people you vote for because you never realize who you might get up in the office, and that person may do more damage to you and your family and the people of this country as well as the people around the world. And see, my thing is, I didn't realize it at the time. I was being dumbfounded. Of course, I had the blinds pulled over my eyes. And now that I know the truth, now that I found out, even through his own family, I got a good friend who's his niece, Mary Trump. We keep in touch with each other all the time. She tells me everything about him. She was the one who pulled me away from having to vote for this man a second time.
Wow.
She sure did.
Thank you, Miss Laura, for calling
Miss
in.
Laura.
We appreciate you.
Repent, Miss Laura.
You're welcome.
She said, Jack said,
Oh,
repent,
you
Miss
too.
Laura.
Yes, repentance.
Thank you for calling in, family. You can join in the conversation just like Miss Laura, 225-250-8770. It is 30 minutes past the hour. I want to put this up here because Jack said y'all need to see this. Y'all really need to see this. And when I say y'all need to see it, y'all need to see it. Jax, give them a little synopsis of what's happening here.
Yes, that is a post I shared a couple years ago. And that was a bodega here in my beautiful city of Newark. And it says, only in the hood can you get an empanada, a bag of chips, and a ski mask all in one stop. Shaking my head. Why? Oh, bueno, papi. And it's sad because even in a lot of the bodegas, you can go in there, they'll have the ski mask, but they'll also have a bunch of toy guns right as soon as you walk in, right above the register or somewhere hanging along the wall. But you're not going to find that in another community. So they're perpetuating the cycle of what goes on in our community. They know some of our people might want a ski mask to go and rob somebody up the block, but they also figure if you buy the ski mask from me, maybe you won't come back and rob me. So that's a form of thing is protection, you know. But it's so unfortunate. And like you said, Brother Fatin, you go into our bodegas, it's nothing but a bunch of cookies and cakes and candies and chips, and not even the good type of cookies, cakes, candies, and chips. Sometimes they're stale. They're full of artificial stuff that's no good for us. And like I said, even if there is fruit in there, sometimes it's shiny as hell because it's sprayed with a bunch of pesticides. So they try to make it look like it's good by polishing it up, but it's even more damning for us than the damn cookies and cakes half the time.
That's what I'm talking about. Caller, you are on the line with hashtag Truth Be Told. Where you calling from? What's your name?
Hello, yes. Good morning. I'm Jewel Wall. Can you hear me?
Hey, Jewel. How you doing?
My sister.
How are you? Yes, I appreciate your platform, and I was listening, and I was thinking about when it comes to the food in the communities, to get the free food, you'd have to contact the assembly person and start some petitions because it's important to have the proper balanced diet and it's not for nothing to take for granted. You understand? Mm-hmm. So to start some type of meeting with that assembly person in that area and point it out, say, look, this is the commerce and this is the food, and it's not, the produce is not quite up to par, and set up with other providers that they can, because the price of food now is so damn high, pardon my French.
That's true.
All these things have to be recognized. Okay, and I got some other topics we'll discuss for team. I just wanted to shout out, I heard Laura on the phone, so I said, let me call.
This is my family, New York family here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We love you, Fatin. We love you,
Thank
Fatin.
you.
And I appreciate your platforms. And I just want you to stay blessed. And this is a great conversation. We need this conversation. It's extremely important. That's why I hopped on and shared it.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, and thank you for
what
click
she's
like
saying is that around the city there's a lot of people that are dealing with, as we talk about homeless, we're talking about people that are hungry, and they give out free food, and if the food that they're giving out is not well balanced, you can go to your local officials, your assembly people, your council people, councilman or council members, now that's how they use it, or as state senators, to make a change in this, as well as what Sister Jack said. Go to those community meetings, and these businesses that they have a union. The businesses have a union, and they usually come together. But see, if the community don't demand it, then they're not going to these meetings, because there's nobody gonna show up. When 3 or 4 people show up, why are they coming? I'm just gonna be in the store. But when the community says, listen, we're not gonna spend our dollar here like this, you understand, or threaten a boycott, then things starts to change. It's the power of the people. You have to understand that we have power. We have to exercise it.
And
Well, we thank you for calling in. And caller, thank you. Like I said, you can join in on the conversation like the other callers. 225-250-8770. Go ahead, Sister Jax.
And I tie all this still back to scripture, because according to scripture, on the Sabbath, there's supposed to be no buying, no selling, no, kindling a fire, cooking food and all that stuff, right? So it made me think about it last weekend, because it was the Sabbath from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, but it was a double Sabbath, right? So then we had it from Saturday sundown to Sunday sundown. So during that time, my household, we didn't buy, we didn't sell, we didn't do anything. So when you think about discipline, like there were certain things that I needed if I didn't prepare properly for the Sabbath or for the double Sabbath, right? So there were some things I said, oh shoot, I need this, I need that, but I didn't have it. So then I thought about, and it wasn't that urgent, but I didn't have it. But I thought about, in our community, if we all follow God, at least according to scripture, or at least most of us, if we did, and we stopped the buying and selling, even if it was just on the Sabbath, how much we could actually impact the economy and shut stuff down. But being that they pulled us so far away from God and so far away from scripture, none of us have enough discipline to honor a Sabbath or any other high holy day. But if we band together and say, you know what, for even 24 hours, we are not going to buy anything from any of these bodegas, it will cripple them. If we say we're not going to buy from McDonald's, Checkers, Sonic, all of that stuff for a couple of days, it is going to definitely impact them. But we don't have enough discipline as a people to do it.
Yeah.
So let me show you something. Somebody just sent me a text message, and I'm gonna make you laugh. Let you know that you're dealing with the same issues at different places under different terminologies. I done had 3 people text me and say, "What's a bodega?" A corner store, a convenience store, a small store in your neighborhood. See, I'm glad that we're here, because I needed that to happen. And I needed to say this on this podcast. We are all people of color dealing with the same situations under different environments and different circumstances of the regions that we're in under different terminologies. And somewhere along the line, we've got to unite and understand the same plight that's going on in Jersey and New York is going on in South Carolina, it's going on in Louisiana, it's going on in Compton in California, it's going on in Seattle, Washington. We are all dealing with the same issues in different regions, and we've got to come together to bring about a positive solution that these problems get resolved. We too busy talking about the issues and not too busy sitting down trying to get solutions to help our brothers and sisters, and we've got to do it. Sister Jack said something that right now in my head, I'm like, I know we have a fresh market here but I'm in rural Louisiana. Yes, I'm in the 5th largest city, but this is still a rural state. Farming is big in this state, but how do you deal with this on states that don't have agriculture at the top of mind? We've got, how many of y'all have even enough room to make a little garden in your own backyard? Let's talk about that. And we need to get into those type of conversations where we are prepared. The word I keep hearing in my spirit is, why are we not prepared? Yeah. Whoever wants to take the floor.
Let me just say this, because I wanted to jump in right after Jax and go where Joe said just now about coming together. See, when we do this, then it's sometimes us who break what we're doing. So we had a small convenience store, a bodega, small grocery store on Church Avenue in the Flatbush section of Brooklyn, New York, some years ago. It was a Korean deli. Black woman goes in there with a child. She gets into a disagreement with the owner. The owner puts his hands on the woman, the black woman. The community finds out about it. And not only the community decides to protest, some of the organizations, black organizations decide to protest. And it was really making an impact on that business. The business was feeling that, didn't apologize to the woman. All the business had to do was apologize for the woman, possibly hire a young person in the community to show that they were giving back. And as it was really taking effect because the business honestly was talking about they may have to move out, and it might have opened opportunity for a person to come from the community to open the business. Mayor David Dinkins crosses the picket line. Mayor David Dinkins was the first African-American mayor of the city of New York. You know how that was heartbreaking for us that stood out there to protest, to send a message? By breaking that line, protest line, that's just disregard and disrespect to that Black woman that got hands put on her. So sometimes we are our own worst enemy.
That was the point right there. You know, when we are people who get the power and are in positions of power, we need to understand the weight that is carried on your back as a representative of all of us when you're in that position. You know, it's sad to me how sometimes our representation is not up to par. That's just the truth about it. And sadly, we all got to do better. Everybody, I raise my hand. I got to do better. There's times I need to speak out more, which I don't, because I'm nervous and I'm worried. You know, will I get crucified the more? Guess what? The word of God says no greater sacrifice a man makes than he lays down his life for another, for his brother or his sister. So sometimes you got to step out there and know that God is with you. We can't just say it and not believe it. You know, I told somebody that a few days ago. I said, here we are praying for stuff, and when it show up, we the first person to question it. Well, if you prayed for it and it shows up, why you questioning it? How this get here? You prayed for it and it showed up. Start believing. Let us begin believing in one another. Let us begin to believe in ourselves. Too many times I think we're looking for solutions outside of ourselves when there's a Jax, there's a Fatim, there's a Shauna, there's somebody who looks like you who has the answer you need. And not only do they have the answer you need, they need to be compensated for that answer. Right. So we can circulate the dollars amongst ourselves, Brother Fatim.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get ready and go because you know,
right.
we're getting ready for the event. So you and Jax can continue. You guys got about 19 more minutes to the broadcast. But I just want to thank, you know, my team. Brother Joe, Sister Jax, Sister Shauna's doing her thing today. And I want to thank all our people in the chat and all our callers that called in today. And my final words is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe that, you know, a lot of times we say we believe in ourselves and we have these ideas, but until we put them forward and see that they can blossom, and then as you continue to move forward and when you look over your shoulder, you'll see the progress that you have made. So believe in yourself, folks out there, and don't always complain. Build up, support, try to bring energetic words, not negative words, because when you put negative words out there, your spirit, your energy, your aura tends to hover around negativity. Be a more positive person. Be a more person that's smiling. If you got challenges in life, try to find some things that bring you some joy in life. You understand? We got to have some balances because everybody just doesn't have a life that they can always smile. You understand? But believe in yourself and put yourself in some type of positivity out there. All right?
Brother Fatim, be blessed, man. Have a good one. You out. Peace. Right.
Have a good one.
So it's me and Sister Jackson. Listen, we do have about it's 42 minutes after. We're about to close out the show. And Sister Jax, just, you know, once again, I think that you said something that was really deep about how we need to control the narratives in our community, Sister Jax.
Yes. And you know what? To piggyback off of what Brother Fatim was saying, it's so important that we remain solution focused and not problem centered. Too often in life, we always focus on the problem rather than trying to find the solution. So that's even with your friends and family. If somebody's calling you, complaining about the same stuff over and over and over again, try to get them to move towards a solution or don't deal with it. You know, you have to set boundaries for yourself and boundaries also to protect your own mental health. Because sometimes people that struggle with mental health issues, they will put that weight in your lap. And if you're not prepared or able to even process or handle it, you have to shut it down. So Brother Fatim, what he said is absolutely right. And let's move from being problem-centered to solution-focused.
That's what I'm talking about, family. You know, at the end of the day, and I want people to know that we are broadcasting live on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, and we're on Instagram. And so folks are sending me messages going, well, where y'all at? Here's where we're at. Here's where we're at. On Instagram and on Facebook, we're at the JDMS. On YouTube, we're at 100 BLK Media. So click like and share, click like and share. Sister Jax is out there in Brick City doing her thing. She is, man, busy, 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 always doing what she got to do. And, you know, got nothing but love. She is the spiritual conscious of this show. She is the queen conscious of this show. And we really appreciate you, Sister Jax. Big ups to tell Reggie, tell Brother Nobles that we said, hey, much love for him coming on here. We look forward to other folks from around the Brick City area coming on. We got some people coming on. I'm working right now. I'm trying to get my good friend Gary Chambers to come on to have some conversations about things that are happening here in Louisiana. Listen, family, we've got to be engaged in the conversation that brings about the change we need to see, not only for ourselves, but for our future generation. This ain't just about us. It's about what's coming. It's about what's coming. You know, so stop being so caught up in you and trying to be popular that you miss the purpose. You know, we've got to be understanding to one another that we all play a part in this tapestry of how we move forward as a people, as a culture, as a nation. And listen, your voice matters. And with that being said, here's what I want to do as I get ready. 15 minutes to the top of the hour as I begin to bring this episode of hashtag Truth Be Told to a close. Listen, your vote is your voice. You just had a caller, and I want some folks to go back and listen to this. You had a caller say, listen, I am a person of color and I voted for Donald Trump. I made a mistake. Family, we need to do that more often. We need to tell folks, this is what I did. And after further review, I made a mistake. Because at the time, you thought you were doing the right thing. And guess what? Many of us at the moment that we did what we did thought we were doing right. But after further review, we figured out we did wrong. Go back and make the adjustments and keep doing wrong. Make an adjustment and start doing right. Mm-hmm. Your vote is your voice, and your voice has power. You need to get engaged. You need to get involved. You need to get registered, and you need to go vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm not telling you how to vote. But I don't need 900,000 registered voters of color in the state of Louisiana. But then when I pull up the number, only 200,000 plus voted. Because that means if I put 3 fingers up, 2 of y'all didn't do anything. But the same 2 of y'all that didn't do anything will be the same 2 of y'all that's complaining about everything. Go vote. Go vote. Jax, we're going to end it a little early. Give me some closing words, my sister.
I want to implore everyone to take the time today to do something different. Do something that you've been putting off. Do something that you keep saying, I need to do this or I need to start that. Don't wait for tomorrow, because guess what? Tomorrow's not promised. So if you realize your household is going in the wrong direction, whether you live with others or you live by yourself, there's certain things that we can change. If it comes down to cleaning out that one closet that you said, I need to clean out this closet, or I need to clean out this pantry, or start with one dresser drawer. If that's what you need to do it, because each step matters. But the first thing you have to do is get up to take that step. So in closing, I just want to say, a fool finds no pleasure in understanding, but delights in airing their own opinion. Don't be a fool, and always use wisdom.
That's what I'm talking about. That's my sister. I don't care what nobody say. That's my sister. So family, we're getting ready to bounce up out of here. We're going to leave you a little earlier. Tomorrow is Work It Out Wednesday. We're going to work it out. We're going to, guess what? We're going to work it out. Family, together, we going to work it out. So as I get ready to let you go, first of all, I have a few things I want to say. Today, do something to make yourself better than you were yesterday. Today, help somebody who in no shape, form, or fashion can give you back what you gave them. Just help them, just because. Let us be loving and kind to one another. As I always say about this time, there is no secret what God can do. What he has done for others, he will and he can do for you. For when God is with you, nothing or no one can stand against you. You have a wonderful day wherever you're at in this world. Be blessed. We up out of here. Peace.